This is Lauren Kimball for ANI 250, and today we're just going to do a quick tutorial that shows you how to plug in your texture nodes into your model. So let's begin. To start, we need to assign a material. If we were to click on our can, go into the attribute editor and select its texture, we would see that we're dealing with a Lambert node. That's the default Lambert, meaning if we were to go in and start plugging in color maps, then anything we create here on out would have that texture assigned. So if you were to create a cube or a prism or a sphere, everything would look like a can. So we need to make sure we're assigning a new material. I'm going to right click the can, going to go down to favorite material and assign a blend. Again, that's right click, assign favorite material, and this time I'm just picking a blend. Alright, I'm then going to name that blend. I'll call it like can txt or something like that. If I accidentally click off my mesh, I can always select it again, go to that attribute editor. Remember, Control A takes us to the channel box, Control A again, that's how we access our attributes. Go to can texture, and there is our menu. Now, it's possible for an object to have multiple shaders, so it's really important that you're naming things, okay? Alright, so next we want to go down to our color node. Our color node, we could click this and assign any color we want, but instead we want to plug in our diffuse map. So I'm going to click on this little black and white checker box, and that's going to open up my render nodes menu. Now typically I don't have anything typed into this search box, and it gives you an entire list of possibilities of what you could assign to that color node. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and type in file and click on the file render node. Now we don't necessarily need to change anything right up here at the present, so I'm just going to click on the Manila folder icon, which will take us straight to our source images folder. If it is not taking you to the source images folder, it's because you didn't set your project. Remember, to set your project, you go File, Set Project, and then hunt down that project. Alright, so I'm going to click on the Manila folder because I did set my project, and it's going to open up the source images. Inside source images, I have my texture file. For some reason the icon looks purple like the normal map. I'm not sure why that is, but it's definitely my texture file. I'm going to click open. Now nothing happens, or so it seems, because right now I'm in my shaded view, which is 5 on my keyboard. If I press 6, I can see shaded view with texture, and that's when the diffuse map appears. Okay? So I'm going to press off of that and click on my can again, and it'll take me back to my can texture. Now sometimes the little sample node will show you a picture of the texture. Sometimes it's just going to show you this icon because it can't load the texture information. But that's still definitely, even if you can't see the sample image, this is what you got. So next I'm going to go pipe in my normal map. There's no specific attribute called normal map. Instead we're going to piggyback it onto the bump map node. So go over here and click on the little checker box next to bump mapping and click file again. And this time, before it takes us to the file, it takes us to this bump node, which asks us questions about our bump map. Now we're not making a bump map, we're going to be using a normal map. A bump map is a black and white map that kind of fakes depth, but it breaks down at certain angles. It's not as ideal as a normal map, which, you know, you're going to be looking at objects in different angles in a video game. So much better to use normals. I'm going to go down here, and underneath bump depth you have use as. Change that from bump to tangent space normals. And then go up here where it says bump 2D1. To the right of it, you should have a file node. Click on that file node, click on the little Manila folder, and find your normal map. And now you should see a little bit of the depth and some of the 3D details from our high poly mesh that we baked out earlier. Okay, so I'm going to press Control A. Actually, I didn't need to. I'll just click on my mesh again. Get us back to our can texture. And next we need to worry about our specular map. So, whoops, didn't mean to click that. Under specular shading, we have specular color. That's where we're going to plug in our specular map. Same as before, click on the little checker box, click on the file, click on the Manila folder, and find your specular map or your glossy map. And that should be it. Now nothing changed significantly as far as the glossy map is concerned. I'm a little concerned with how it looked in the preview. It doesn't look quite right. I'm wondering if I accidentally saved this Targa with 32 as 32-bit. Remember that when you save a Targa, you want to save it at 24-bit, not 20 or 32-bit. With 24-bit, you're dealing with all the color channels, but if you have 32-bit, it adds an extra 8 channels for transparency and alpha mapping. So this preview doesn't look right to me. I'd probably go back and reload my Photoshop file and make sure I saved that correctly. But even if I did, there's a chance that the specular map won't show up like very clearly in your scene because there's no lights in the scene. But if there was a lighting setup in this scene, you would be able to notice some differences there as far as the specularity is concerned. And that's it. We baked out an AO map, and we used the AO map on the diffuse map, so there's no need to pipe it back in at this point. So really all you need to worry about if you wanted to assign your texture maps inside of Maya are the normal maps, the diffuse map, and the specular map.